go into the garage and everybody's just having a big party, throwing some music, you know, and let the music take you away for a while. And I do like that. I agree with that 100%. Do that.
A virtual party.
Stay home. Let the music take you away.
That's right. Virtual party. And for those that got them big speakers and can blow out the whole neighborhood.
Come on now.
Why don't we just do that? House party. Auntie Cheryl's house party. You know, and we can handle this. And we want everybody to watch the talk, because today Eric Braden gonna be on that show, son. And we got best. That's right. That's Young and the Restless right there. And I got a little special snuggle, you know, thing. And I sent them some flowers. But I haven't told you why we playing lights, camera, action. Harry Sutherland, what are your final thoughts?
Cheryl family, as we try to contain the spread of this novel coronavirus, we want to, like you said, Cheryl, stay home and hashtag alone together. But while we're home, let's listen to two of my famous white artists, the late great Kenny Rogers and my boy George. Come on, y'all. Let's stay home.
Culture Club. Boy George. Okay. Karma Chameleon. Dedicated to Harry Sutherland. Matter of fact, if you'd like to ask Harry why these are his favorite songs, he will be talking to you live 5 p.m. Pacific.
That's right.
8 p.m. Eastern. He will tell you, you'll be able to talk to all of us and ask us questions. 1-855 Cheryl 1. Now, let me tell you why I'm playing this Mr. Cheeks right now. First of all, we got this thing called Viacom CBS, but in CBS Studios and the CBS production company, I hope I'm saying it right, we got a brother coming on board.
Come on now.
George Cheeks. That's why I play this Mr. Cheeks, because it's time for lights, camera, action. That's right, we doing our thing over at CBS. Now, we sending love to ABC. Meghan McCain having a baby over at The View. We want them to be healthy and safe. We send love to the brother of Omega Sci-Fi that works for the Today Show, NBC, that lost his life to the coronavirus. We sending prayers to brothers of Omega Sci-Fi. Fox, I think they had somebody that tested positive for the virus. Andy Cohen, we sending love out to you. Rand Paul, everybody. Idris Elba, oh my God, Courtney. And his wife. So here's what we want people to do. We want people to keep that lights, camera, action going as we are alone together. Hashtag alone together. Black newspaper, black radio, black movies, black TV, social media. Let's keep spreading the word that we need you to stay home. And CBS, thank you for allowing me to have the platform on the talk. And I'll be on Instagram Live probably Tuesday and Friday. Check us out. Check us out if you want to talk to me live on Instagram Live. But I am just saying, welcome, George Cheeks, a black man. We've had brothers involved with CBS before. But he starts today. This is your first day, man. If we were there, we'd be dabbing it up, bro. But we can't. That's why we alone together. We dedicate lights, camera, action to George Cheeks. He's coming into CBS. He's going to be the CEO of it. I'll explain more tomorrow. And we play a Mr. Cheeks for George Cheeks. Be blessed. Go out and be a blessing. Others. God bless you. We'll holler at you tomorrow. If the Lord say the same, if he does not, it's your last day on earth. We hope that when you see the master, he says, servant, well done, because of the life you've lived, work you've done. People you've asked for forgiveness when you trespass against them. We are praying for everyone who is tested positive, everyone who has had somebody that's afflicted with this coronavirus. We're going to pray that our leaders and the leaders all over the world can come together. We can beat this virus. We just need to stay home, be alone together, and use all of media to reach out to people so you won't feel lonely. This is Cheryl Underwood Radio, pushing out that hashtag alone together, 472 affiliates strong. Be blessed, be easy, and welcome to CBS, Mr. Cheeks, George Cheeks, baby.
KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month. Shout out to Always and Forever Pet Grooming, offering baths, nails, and haircuts for dogs and cats. 2929 South Sheridan.
This is KLEK Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Jonesboro's community radio station. Your life, your music. KLEK 102.5 FM.
Good Monday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Mostly cloudy today, chance of a few showers, and the high temperature 60 to 65. Showers and maybe a rumble of thunder overnight, mostly cloudy skies 50 to 55. Showers and isolated thunderstorms in the forecast for Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies in the low 70s. And it looks like a partly to mostly sunny sky for Wednesday, near 70. Let's beat this virus. Stay hydrated as much as possible and keep washing your hands. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. South Korea has recorded its lowest daily number of new coronavirus cases since February. Canada's pulled its team out of the 2020 Olympics due to take place in Tokyo. New York's Mayor Bill de Blasio says the city's 10 days from widespread shortages of medical supplies. The UK government's under pressure to toughen lockdown measures, and trading's been volatile on global stock markets as a result of fears of a looming recession.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Monday. It's March 23rd, 2020. This is Community Conversations. Kata Wonder is in the studio with you. I'm flying solo this week. Quabila has the week off, but we are still here to educate, entertain, and empower you. Joining us in the studio, well, she's not in the studio, she's actually via phone. Joining us via phone is Dr. Brookshield Laurent, and she is the chair for the Department of Clinical Medicine at NYIT, College of Osteopathic Medicine at Arkansas State University. She is also the executive director for the Delta Population Health Institute, and she is also a family medicine physician. And we're just so thankful to have her on the phone today. She is going to provide us some updates on the COVID-19 coronavirus, as well as some information on how you can stay safe. So, Dr. Laurent, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to speaking to your listeners today.
All right. So
Thank you for having me.
Well, no problem. We're glad to have you. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So just kind of talk about what is being done in the community and your role in it with the NYIT as far as helping to keep the communities informed and keep the community as safe as possible.
Yeah, so I'll be more than happy to address that. But I know that a couple of weeks ago, this virus was not in the forefront of our minds, and now it has absolutely altered our work life in general. And so what I want to do is kind of give a background about what has happened and where we are right now and what's ahead of us as a community. So just to give a background to everyone, the coronavirus or COVID-19 is a respiratory illness that can spread from person to person. And the virus is a novel virus that was identified during an investigation in an outbreak in Wuhan, China. We know that the virus probably emerged from an animal source, and it's known to be a bat, most likely a bat, but now it's spreading from person to person, especially if you're in close contact with someone about 6 feet away who is infected. If they have respiratory droplets through coughing and sneezing, they can spread it to other people. So if it falls on objects or in your hands and someone touches their mouth, their nose, their eyes, these are ways in which it can be transmitted. And so patients with COVID-19, I think many have heard, they can have mild to moderate or severe respiratory symptoms, such as fever, cough, and shortness of breath. And some patients, especially those who are more susceptible, we know now that those who are elderly, those who have chronic illnesses, even if you're not elderly, but if you have diabetes, if you have heart illnesses, if you have a lung illness, you're more susceptible to having severe complication from the illness if you did not have these chronic illnesses. There was also a study that showed that they were doing abroad, where they noted that people who had hypertension had a higher risk of acquiring it as well. And so there's just a lot more information that we're getting about who's more susceptible, what the outcomes will be. This virus, again, is new, although the experts and scientific community are doing their best to learn as much as they can. But we have some guidelines. I know I was hearing your radio station this morning, and many of those who are on staff are stating and should be, and encouraging all listeners really to distance themselves, to stay home, to work remotely if that's possible. And really, and this is not an easy thing to do. It's actually very disruptive, understandably. This is not how we live in community. We eat together, we walk together, we fellowship together, and this is a huge change for us. But we know that there's a big cost if we're not adhering to these guidelines, because those who are susceptible, which is our neighbor, our grandmother, our aunt or uncle who have diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, if they get contracted, which can be done easily, this is really infectious, more infectious than the flu, more infectious than the common cold, there will be significant outcomes for them. So just to give an update, worldwide right now, according to the Johns Hopkins Resource Center, we have about 351,731 people who we have total confirmed. In the United States, the count for confirmed findings is 35,225. And for the state of Arkansas, as of March 22nd, that's yesterday at noon, the Arkansas Department of Health has stated we're up to 165 cases. The governor has put a breakdown of that, about the people who are infected. About 10 children have been infected, 62 seniors, that's those who are 65 years and older, and 93 adults, 19 to 64 in the state of Arkansas. They broke it down by gender, where you have 61% is female, so the other half would be males. 18% have been affected who are African American, 70% are Caucasian. We've had 19 hospitalizations thus far, 12 required ICU stays, and 6 required vents. The Arkansas Department of Health, the federal state department, are putting funds out for campaigns to get the messaging out to everyone within the state of Arkansas. I'm sure many have heard that there have been nursing homes, 3 nursing homes in the state of Arkansas that's been affected. And again, that's our most susceptible people who get severe complications from the infection. And the estimation is about 44 nursing home residents and staff who have been infected. Right now, they are anticipating that we might see a peak in the coming weeks. These are significant numbers. We're expecting significant numbers to rise in the next coming weeks. And so that's the update of where we are as the state of Arkansas. We did have a finding in Craighead County. But again, the science is showing us, the evidence is showing us that social distancing is the best preventive tool at this time, so that we can decrease the rate of the spread in our community and protect those who are most vulnerable.
Well, Dr. Laurent wanted to just break in right quick and ask a question about the social distancing, because I think some people may not understand and be like, well, how is that going to, that's not really like a traditional treatment. So how would that help, considering it's such a disruption on our daily lives?
Yeah, so, there's 2 ways we have to look at this. First, we are have to address the fact that at the baseline, before the pandemic, when you look at the maps, the U.S. County Health Rankings, when you look at the Delta region and Arkansas, we already had the lowest and the poorest health outcomes to begin with. And what I mean by that is that the majority of us in our community, and specifically more so in the African American and minority communities, Latinx communities, we have the worst outcomes in diabetes, heart disease, and lung disease to start with. Okay? And on top of that, our infrastructure for the healthcare systems in rural areas are not where they should be. So just imagine if our starting point within our community members is that many people already have these illnesses and chronic illnesses, as I noted before, and already we have an infrastructure that's already strained in that we have rural hospitals that are on the brink of closure, already closing. And on top of that, the healthcare workforce is decreasing. That's the primary reason why NYIT Medical School came here, so that we can increase the workforce in the Delta. Now, this is all before the pandemic. Now, if you add the pandemic on top of this, the strain will be exponential to our healthcare system. It will be a great hit economically when this virus continues to spread, and it will continue to spread. So that's the first thing that we have to keep in mind. The second thing is, as we're taking these precautions, we know that there is going to be an economic cost as well. And it's something that I believe community leaders are not taking lightly. They understand that when we're asking people to telecommute, or that's if you're able to do that. If you're in the service industry, you can't telecommute service, so to speak, right? So there is a cost. And Governor Hutchinson had stated in the March 22nd briefing that about 8,000 to 10,000 people in the state of Arkansas have filed for unemployment since these steps that we have taken to help decrease the spread. So we do understand that there is a cost to the steps that we're taking, but there's really a greater cost and a huge economic cost when those who are already sick amongst us will be sicker, and we don't have a strong enough healthcare system to take care of them. That's why it's even really important that we take the steps that we've been encouraging people to take.
And I just want you to also comment on, because this is what I've been reading, that part of the social distancing is to make sure that the hospitals don't get overwhelmed with patients, once there's an increase of people getting sick.
Yeah, so that is the crux of the situation right now. We want to decrease the load as much as possible for our hospital system. Please know, before the pandemic, hospitals were already strained with the basic, and I shouldn't say basic, but really the most common issues that we've been dealing with. People suffering from complications from heart disease, such as heart attacks. Strokes are still happening. Uncontrolled diabetes has not stopped because of the pandemic. All these other chronic illnesses that we have been healthcare professionals and public health professionals that have been trying to address, it's still going on, and was already a strain to the community. So if on top of that, now if people are not taking these steps for social distancing and spreading the infection, we will further bring a greater load to the community members, and we won't be able to serve people the way that we want to. And so, that's a significant issue. And keep in mind that we have a workforce of those who are above 55, above the age of 60, 65 too. And if they're ill and they're not doing well themselves, we won't be able to carry out our daily functions overall. So we do have to have a communal perspective in the way that we're giving care to, the way that we're adhering to these guidelines.
Now, Dr. Laurent, I wanted to also bring up, if you're watching on our Facebook live feed, I have posted some links, and Dr. Laurent provided these links to us. It has some vital information on some things which can help you. In fact, the first one is called Protect Yourself. The second is Guidance for Community and Faith-Based Organization Employers. The third is a COVID-19 fact sheet. And then we also have it in Spanish, and then also one called Facts Not Fear. So let's kind of talk about that Facts Not Fear. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on my screen as well.
So can you repeat that again?
Let's talk about, I posted the links that you sent me for the resources to help people, but I wanted to focus on this Facts Not Fear one that you sent. The one that said Facts Not Fear.
Oh, yes, Facts Not Fear. Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking at diseases can make well, the first fact is diseases can make anyone sick regardless of their race or ethnicity. Fact 2, for most people, the immediate risk of becoming seriously ill from the virus that causes COVID-19 is thought to be low. And then fact 3, someone who has completed quarantine or has been released from isolation does not pose a risk of infection to other people. And 4 is there are simple things you can do to help keep yourself and others healthy. Number 5 is you can help stop COVID-19 by knowing the signs and symptoms. So what I want you to talk about is just to give some advice for people so that we do not have that spirit of fear. We're not going around fearful of this disease, that we can cope with it and manage it.
Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that. And so one of the things that I do want to address is, in the midst of, a trial or difficult situations, our bodies tend to go into flight or fight mode, and we're not as productive. There's some things that's important for, right? If we're in danger, it's important for our bodies to respond for us in certain ways. But over a long term, it is not really helpful. And so one of the things that I'm encouraging, even our team members who are out in the field, my colleagues who are healthcare professionals who are in the field, those who have family members where they're concerned about their healthcare professionals, or, even yourself, you're at home and you have certain chronic illnesses and you're concerned about your health. It absolutely is important to stay in a place, whatever has kept you grounded in your spiritual rhythms, whether prayer, meditation, to keep doing that. We have to have a clear mind. I think one of the most important things to do is not to be consumed by the information. I mean, this is on 24/7. So there's a balance of, yes, I have to be informed. I have to get clarity about what is going on, and you should, and have some key resources that will give you guidance. And I think the links that I gave you to share on the website with the listeners would be somewhere where they can look for information to give them guidance at the starting point. But at some point, we might have to just turn off the news with a lot of the news that we're getting, because it can be very consuming. So yes, be informed, get your information, make sure that you are plugged into people who are sharing information. If there's emergent information needs to be shared, get plugged in, such as your local radio station. It's important to do that. But when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's good. It's time to step away, turn it off. Even in the midst of this, the governor up to yesterday is encouraging people to walk outside, and again, still keeping the 6 feet social distancing. We're still encouraging that, but taking a few steps, few breaths outside to breathe. It is disruptive to have to stay home and think about life differently for this time. And I do believe this will pass. But we're in this season right now. We do have to act appropriately. So I do want to encourage people that I'm also concerned of those who already have mental health concerns, whether it's anxiety or depression. It's really important. I think while some of us are able to be at home, go through your contacts, people you haven't reached out in a while, give a call, do FaceTime, just check in. It goes a long way. I think that's one of the best ways that we can support one another at this time. So again, sticking to your spiritual rhythms. I know community members are having, either they're coming together and still speaking with one another, encouraging one another. Some are coming to a virtual space and praying with one another, meditating together. I think that should continue to be done. And if you're feeling consumed by the news, kind of step away and reset and connect with people virtually as much as possible.
And we thank you for that, Dr. Laurent. I'm looking now at this resource you sent. So what do you need to know about coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19? So let's kind of back up just for a moment and explain how the disease actually got its name.
So the coronavirus received its name based on, I think this was years ago, hundreds of years ago, where when they looked at the microscope at that time, it looked like a crown that surrounded, that looks like a crown figure that was over the virus. And so based on how it looked at that time and the limitation of that microscope, they called it the coronavirus. And then as our technology got better, a lot of the experts are showing us that it actually looks like almost like landmines, more so than a crowns around the capsule of the virus. So that's where the name came from.
Absolutely, and we definitely appreciate that. Okay, I'm looking. Could you now explain to the listeners out there that may not be familiar with exactly how is the disease spread?
Yeah, so the disease is spread through what is called respiratory droplets. Basically, a respiratory droplet is essentially a droplet that comes through coughing and sneezing. It can stay in the air. We are learning that it can stay on surfaces, whether it's copper, metal, cardboard. I think there were some initial studies to show that the virus is not as stable on cardboard as it is on metal surfaces. And so it is spread through coughing and sneezing. That's why we're encouraging people who are sick to definitely stay home. And those who are, walking around and still somewhat exposed because they have to, that they constantly are washing their hands for 20 seconds. I think that number hasn't been reinforced enough, but to reassure that you get the germs out, soap and water for 20 seconds, as often as you can. Certainly if you're coughing and sneezing. And so this is how this is spread. And so we're encouraging everyone, again, to keep practicing these basic hygiene steps that really will go a long way to help prevent the spread.
Okay. And if someone contracts the disease, what is it, if anything, that can be done?
Can you say it one more time?
I said, if someone does contract the disease, what symptoms would they feel, and can they do?
Yes. So what we know now is that there are 3 symptoms that would makes us think that we're suspicious for the infection, for COVID-19 infection. Unfortunately, these symptoms we can see for a lot of other diseases too, which makes it difficult. But given the context that we're in, there would be a higher suspicion for COVID-19 if you are coughing, if you have a fever, and if you're short of breath. Certainly people can have a scratchy throat, other basic symptoms that look similar to the common cold. But the 3 main symptoms, as stated by the CDC, is coughing, fever, and shortness of breath. So these are the symptoms that we are suspicious for COVID-19. Obviously, we are asking people if they've traveled to the areas, the endemic areas, not only outside the United States, but the endemic areas that we're seeing in the country as well, New York, D.C., Florida. But again, if we don't have it, I know many people have heard based on the conferences that you've been hearing through our public health officials and civic leaders, the concern here is testing. If we don't have testing and don't have accessibility to testing, it's not readily available, we won't know who's infected, and we don't know how to strategically stop the spread. It's so important for us to know where these spots are. And without testing and enough testing, it's going to be hard to get ahead of the infection, which will lead to very broad restrictions of what we're feeling right now. So once we get a lot of testing, we can that information helps the experts determine what's the best way we can get ahead of the curve for decreasing spread. And so restrictions would be more specific, they'll be more narrow, and not as broad as they are right now. That's one of the things as well. We can get ahead of it. So we were speaking with our local mayor, Kevin Smith in West Helena, West Helena.
My hometown.
They're doing a lot of things right now in trying to support their community members. And one of the things he said, which I like this analogy, is like when you go hunting for ducks, you don't aim for the duck, you aim for where it's going. And so all the work that we're doing right now is really to aim toward where we think this is going. But testing would really help us in improving our aim. And so we're working with public health officials and civic leaders to see how can we get testing done in the areas of need. Now, for those who are in the Craighead County, St. Bernard has a screening hotline, a number. If you were to have those symptoms, you can call that number. I know you said you're going to post that on the on the KLEK website. If anyone you know or yourself are experiencing these symptoms, call that St. Bernard hotline number, and they will ask further questions to screen you and tell you if you need to go to a certain location for screening. And that's in Craighead County. And there are, through the Department of Health, they have listed some screening areas throughout Arkansas. It's not enough. We need more screening sites, but the limitation is having those toolkits to test individuals so that we can get the right people treated, not overload our healthcare system, and try to get ahead of the spread.
All right, Dr. Laurent, with your position with the NYIT, I know this is something that you all are
definitely taking a close look at. So what is the NYIT doing as far as research and providing expertise to combat the spread in Craighead County?
Well, one of the first things we have been doing is trying to support the workforce. Right now, health professionals are being called to the front line. Not only the physicians who are in our staff, clinicians who are in our staff, but also we have students who are already in these hospitals that they are helping their patients. This is why we decided to go into medicine. To help people, especially in this time of need, similar like this. And so right now, the primary thing we're doing is helping the workforce. We're looking for ways to do that to assure safety. What has been going on right now has been the concern of not having enough personal protective equipment. Governor Hutchinson, in his briefing in yesterday, March 22nd, he had stated that of all that they've ordered and requested for personal equipment for healthcare providers, they only received 25%. Which means that there is a deficit in making sure that healthcare providers have the protective equipment to take care of our sickest patients. And so we're trying to navigate how we can work in the front line, make sure that the providers are safe, and make sure that those who are sickest are getting the care that they need. So that's the first thing that we're working with. The second thing we're doing is through our community engagement arm, the Delta Population Health Institute. This institute was established in the fall of 2019, really to leverage its assets to help communities build a culture of health. But we also have direct clinical outreach and services that we provide to communities for moments such as this. One of the things that we want to do that we have to be cautious about is that we can't just go someplace instead of shock. We have to coordinate care with the Department of Health, with local hospitals, and with local clinics, especially those that may not be connected to major healthcare systems. And right now we're doing assessments and meeting with those leaders to see what's the best way that we can bring some care in areas where people may not be connected to major healthcare hubs. And that's the second thing. The third thing that we're doing that our community members are telling us is they are probably getting information from everywhere and don't know exactly what to trust, or they're getting a lot of information and it's hard to digest it. So we have a community engagement rapid response team that is getting information in clear, succinct ways to community members, civic leaders, those who are running nonprofits to say, hey, what's the safest way for us to try to carry out our function as much as possible while this pandemic outbreak is going on. And what we're doing is getting information to them and guidance of what's the safest way to do that. Now, there's some things that have to be stopped. If we can't reinforce the 6-foot distancing, and we are going to exacerbate the spread, those things we're encouraging to stop. But for things like people delivering food, that's going to be really a concern. A lot of our nonprofit organizations, food pantries that serve community members, I think the beauty of our community here is that we step in when there's a problem. We step in when there are people who need help the most. But we're finding that if those individuals are not taking precaution, they can be exposed to the virus as they're delivering services to people, and also be exposed to it or spread it. And so we're working with community leaders about what's the best guidance according to the CDC. I did share a link with you as well for the KLEK listeners about the CDC guidance for those who aren't faith-based organizations, nonprofit organization, or any organization where you're serving people. What's the best way to protect your volunteers and to protect those that you're serving? And it may look like you have to restrict some things, and it will require some innovation for sure. All of it is not not every problem is going to be solved. I think we are going to have to acknowledge where our limitations are, but to make sure that we can help provide care for people, because while we're pausing and working from home, we're not able to go to work. Children are home right now. Bills have to be paid. A lot of our students were in school, and that's where they got their free meals. And if they're not in school to get their free meals, I'm concerned about those who are food insecure as well. So there's this balance again, and there's no clear answer at this time, but we have to do our best to serve those who most need it, and also keep us from spreading the illness and keeping our sickness from getting more exposed to this illness.
All right, Dr. Laurent, we definitely want to thank you. You have provided some very invaluable information to our listeners and our viewers. I know that you have another meeting that you have to get to, and we don't want to hold you up. But before we let you go, just any final comments, anything that you want to say to our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, first of all, I want to encourage everyone to hold on. I do believe that this will pass. I do believe that the more we work hard in doing our part, that we will not have to endure this too long. So everyone has to be on board in doing their part to make sure that we can decrease the spread by not gathering, not coming together. I know fellowship is the heart of what we do in our places of worship. Doing these things virtually will absolutely be the next best thing to do if that's a capable modality for communities of worship to do that, because our sickest are really at a very vulnerable place right now. And so I want to encourage people right now to do your steps, your basic rhythms of normalcy. Try to adhere to those things: physical activity, prayer, meditation, and checking up on people virtually, going through your contact list and reach out to people. These are things that we can do at this time, staying informed with good information, and letting people know that you're there. And those are the things that I would encourage people to do at this time.
All right, once again, we want to thank you, Dr. Laurent, for all that you do, and we definitely invite you to come on at any time to help to keep our listeners and viewers informed.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye. And, of course, we thank Dr. Laurent for stopping by, via phone, of course, practicing that social distancing. And, of course, we just want everyone to stay safe during these times. What I want to do right now is I want to provide some local information that is going on. In fact, I want to bring to your attention a local Facebook group that has just been formed that has some valuable resources for the community as well. Let me adjust my talk segments just a little bit. So the Facebook group is called, and I'm getting ready to pull it up, it's Jonesboro. Give me just a second. Jonesboro Community Response. This is a Facebook group. It's Jonesboro Community Response, and it's a group where people can post either things that they're offering or things that they may need help with for the community. So I invite. It is actually a private group, so you may have to get someone that you know to invite you. Maybe they may make it public, but a couple of things that are just in here, some of the resources that are being offered. Provision 88 Food Ministry, this is by Refuge Church, will reopen this week for drive-through service during its normal operating hours, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Provision 88 is located at Refuge Church Hope Center, 1405 Biddle Street. Solomon's Porch is operating an emergency food bank. Solomon's Church is a local church in Jonesboro. And the pickup hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. They are also desperately in need of a refrigerator. So if you got a refrigerator that you are not using, contact Solomon's Porch. You can find them on Facebook, and that would definitely help them out as well. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, they do have a phone number. So if you want to help out at Solomon's Porch with their food pantry, or if you want to donate that refrigerator that they need, the number is 501-396-9388. Again, that phone number is 501-396-9388. I'm just kind of scrolling here, seeing what some other things. We got several citizens that are offering their help, and like Dr. Laurent and so many others have said, Jonesboro is a very giving community. When there is a situation going on, we definitely, as a community, step up to help each other as well. All right, I think we have another. This is a request for help. This comes from Reverend Jenna Sullivan of Magnolia Road Church. Magnolia Road Church has an outdoor food pantry box at 911 Magnolia Road on the Patrick Street entrance. We will welcome your donations to serve the North Jonesboro community during this time. Just come by and drop the food in the box. Thank you, and prayers and love to you all. Let's see what else we have here. All right, St. Paul United Methodist Church of Jonesboro is asking for donations for their blessing box. Please consider donating as much as you can so we can help keep our blessing box stocked throughout this outbreak. Remember, we serve a mighty God, so put your trust in Him. And I'm just going to scroll. Again, this group is Jonesboro Community Reach, I believe. Let me scroll back up. Jonesboro Community Response on Facebook. And so there's several organizations and people that are offering resources and offering help as well. And of course, if you are listening or if you're watching on our Facebook live feed, please let us know of anything that is going on in relation to the coronavirus situation, and we will happily pass it on to our listeners. That's going to do it for this edition of Community Conversations. We will be back tomorrow. I don't know who our guest will be, but we're trying to contact people who are on the front line so that we can get this information to you. But if we have any other breaking news or other breaking information, we will pass that on to you. You guys be blessed and have a great day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
KLEK thanks the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times